Welcome to what I'm calling Idiot's Guide series. In this video, we're going to cover mining basics, and I mean basics. Use this guide to get you started and get you set up, and then you'll start to learn what's good and what's not and what you need. So, mining types. But there are three types of mining: hand mining, ship mining, and vehicle mining. You'll get contracts for each of those, and usually those contracts have their own materials required. You'll initially start with a hand mining mission before you progress through your rep, as with every other contract, and it'll unlock more missions, so you'll get the other ship mining and vehicle ones there. Equipment. So for hand mining, you're going to need a multi-tool, and ideally you'd get this particular multi-tool with an attachment. The reason being is this multi-tool, you can have multiple attachments to it. So to get these, you'll need to go to any of the mining stations. You can also get the tool from some of the other stations, but the mining stations are usually best. And for other reasons we'll come into later, you're going to be going to the mining stations anyway. To find the mining stations, you can simply search it when you're in your map by clicking F2 through your mobiGlas, or you can just search for it at the bottom there. You'll get all of your tabs and you can go into maps and search there for the mining stations. The example that I'm showing here is for Arc 1 because it's near my home base. And once you get there, you're going to have to find one of these terminals. Now, it's hard to really show exactly where they're going to be because they differ from station to station, but they will look like this. And in that terminal, you're going to simply search Pyro, and it should come up with the multi-tool there, as you can see on screen. And then once you've purchased that, you can then search mining, and then it will come up with one of the attachments here. And this is what you're looking for. Once you've picked those up and they're in your bag, all you need to do is hit I to go to your inventory, equip your tool, like here, and then exit your inventory and then push 5, and that'll bring up your tools. You might have to push 5 again to get that specific tool if you've already grabbed some before, but once you're on that particular tool, hit J, and this is where you can adjust attachments. You can do this on any weapon of any kind as well, but for this example we're just showing the tool. And then you want to go to the top slot, which you can see here, and then all you do is scroll wheel until you find your mining attachment. And once you found it, you just hit J, and that's it all fitted, ready to go. And you should see it when you have out your gun, it'll say mining on the top there, on the little screen. That'll be you ready for the hand mining. Now for ship mining, you're going to need, as I say, a ship. You might have gotten a mining ship with your starter pack. If you have, fantastic. If not, you're just going to need to make a small detour to gain a little bit of money to rent a mining ship. You can see my previous video of early money grind. Now you can rent a mining ship at any of the mining stations, so given that we're on Arc 1, but if you go and look for the refinery floor on the elevator and then head straight through, and you'll see this building here, and at the bottom there's a shop. And then if you head into that shop on the left hand side, as you can see on screen, there will be some rental terminals. Now personally, I rented a fortune for the day because I was a bit torn between which one I wanted to buy, the fortune or the golem. I ended up purchasing the golem afterwards anyway. So when you progress, or if you plan to play with friends often, there are some great multi-person ships. The most used is the Mole, which you can see here. And it's arguably the best because it's the most affordable ship for mining with friends. It's got 3 manual turrets that can be controlled. A lot of people are using this for the new rock breaker kind of event that's happened with this 4.7 update. So now we're going to need to find and scan these nodes. So for all the 3 types, they follow a very similar game pattern, with hand mining having a slightly different version. So when you're hand mining, you just need to have your tool in your hands, and then you just aim it towards the rocks. And if you see that it has this orangey tan glow, like you can see here, you know it's a mineable ore. It's as simple as that. You can really just have it out and aim around rocks that you see in caves, etc., and it'll be able to quite easily help you tell which ones are mineable, and then you'll get to know which ones of those mineable ones are the ones you're after. Like the aphrite that we mentioned earlier, that's the blue rock that you can see here. Now on a ship or a vehicle, you can just use your scan, which is default tab key, and when you get close enough, you'll see that they'll show what nodes they are. A lot of the times, until you're close enough, these will just show as unknown and with a clump of like little circles around it. So you just keep heading to those until you can scan it and then see if that's the node you're after. If not, move on to the next. What you'll also see with ships and vehicles is there's 2 different symbols against the materials. One identifies hand mining and the other identifies what you can do in a ship or a vehicle. And these are the 2 symbols here. Similarly to the hand mining, when you aim your ship or your vehicle at a node, you'll still have that orangey tan glow for the mineable ore. When you aim your tool, your ship, or your vehicle at a node, you'll hear a sound scanning cue, and it'll take a few seconds, and then what you'll see is your multi-tool or your ship or your vehicle will have actually scanned that node and will tell you its composition. Only difference here is the hand mining has got a little screen on the tool that will show you a composition, but it doesn't really show you much at all. But for ship and vehicle, you'll see the composition of the node on the right hand side here, and it will show you if there's a lot of inert materials. Inert materials sell for nothing, so ideally if it's anything 50% or above for inert materials, I would just ignore it. I mean, if you can help it and get something with 0 inert, that's ideal. Don't worry too much, but just avoid it if it's quite a high percentage of inert. Now before you start mining on ship or vehicles, there is a bar on the left side of the screen, as you can see here, and this indicates the optimal distance to the node for mining. So you really want to aim to get it in the optimal / max range. And there will be some nodes that you just can't mine with that particular mining head. One additional thing to note, when you're scanning these ores, you'll see that the ores are rated with 3 figures of quality on the right hand side. You can see that here, and it's not hugely important really at the start, but something to keep in mind is anything high rated, you're kind of looking in the kind of 750 plus region, is going to be quite sought after for certain crafts, because crafting came in with 4.7, which means you can use a fabricator and you can make certain like armors or weapons, etc. So they're going to be quite highly sought after by players, but as well for yourself if you want to craft them later down the line. Now for mining, for all the 3 types, you're going to click left click to fracture the node. Now you'll see at the top here, you've got in the ship and the mining, at the top it tells you you've got fracture mode and extraction mode, and for your mining tool, it's always in fracture mode until you right click, so you don't have to worry about that. While you're fracturing and you've left clicked, you're going to need to use left alt and the scroll wheel up and down to increase or decrease the power of that beam. And you can see the beam power here, and that's the same for mining with the hand and mining with the ship / vehicle. Now as you're mining and you're increasing or decreasing that power, you'll see the second bar appear here. Now this is the key bar for your mining. You want this to hang around in its green kind of area, its good area, which you can see here. If it goes too much into the red, the node will actually explode and will damage you or your ship. For ships and vehicles, some of the larger rocks that you fracture might need to be refractured again, because they need to be rebroken up into certain pieces. So you'll notice that if you've got that same kind of orangey tan glow around the rock as you had before when you first started mining it. So just follow the same process again and refracture that one. You'll probably find that that second fracture will be a lot easier, so you'll need a lot less power, etc. to kind of go through it. So extracting minerals. So now that you've fractured your node fully, in the ship and vehicle, you'll left alt and then right click, and that'll change you to extraction mode. And luckily for the hand mining, all you need to do is just right click. And in hand mining, all that'll do is it just acts like a hoover, so you just point it towards the little bits on the floor and it'll just hoover it up into your backpack. For the ship and vehicle, you'll need to hover over those parts and you'll see they're highlighted in purple. And then, kind of annoyingly, you'll have to wait a few seconds for it to scan that broken up part again. And then this will give you, as before, a breakdown of the composition. So again, what might have started when you first scanned the rock as 50% inert, maybe these sections are fully inert, so you can ignore them, and maybe you'll get another part that will be like 100% aluminium. And again, left click once you're in that extraction mode and you're happy with that piece that's highlighted purple, and that'll start extracting the ore for you. And again, as we mentioned before, anything kind of over 50% inert is really not good. Try and just completely avoid those. Anything below that, it's up to you how much you want to take that on. Now, refining. So for hand mining, you're done at this point. Those ores that you've already extracted, that's ready to use for your contracts. So you can just store them and build them up, and then just pay off contracts, or every single contract go out and mine and do it for that one. It's up to you how you want to do that. So for ship and vehicle, you're going to need to refine your materials. So in the same places that we showed you to rent the ship and to buy your multi-tool in these mining stations, for example, the one I used was Arc 1 that's near Arc 4, you'll need to go to one of these stations and land your ship or vehicle. Now once you land in your ship and vehicle, use any of those flight management terminals. There's one in the hangar, or there's ones just outside the elevator as you go back up into the lobby. Make sure you store your ship. It's vitally important, because if you don't, you won't be able to use the refinery for your work orders. So then you're gonna have to find your way to the refinery floor. Luckily, if you've already done this to rent your ship or buy your tool from here, you'll know where you're going. Again, stations can kind of lay out differently, so it's hard to show you exactly, but you're aiming to go to one of the elevators that's got these options here, and you want to select the refinery floor and make your way through that floor until you get to that structure where you had the rentals and the shop below. But we're going to go above, and once you get through that door above, you'll see there's two sets of terminals. One's on the left are where you're going to sell your inert materials that you've picked up for pennies, and you'll have to do this because you'll want to get rid of that stuff out of your ship so you can move on to your next kind of refining session. Now the terminals on the right are going to show you your refinery orders, so we're going to go to those now. And when you go to this, you're going to see on the very bottom left a drop down for the destination here. Since you've stored your ship, you should on that drop down now be able to select that ship you came here with all your minerals on. So now you're going to select your mining ship, and now in the middle you're going to see a work order appear, and it's going to have all of the materials within your ship. Now you can do these individually per material, or you can do them all together. There's probably people who can tell you what the min-maxing better thing to do is, you know, there's people who have meta builds. For the very basics, the bigger the work order, the longer it's going to take. So personally for me, for my OCD, I kind of like to do the different materials separately, but that's again completely up to yourself. But if you do your work order all in one big bulk, that's going to take a chunk of time. But if you do separate orders, so rather than one 20-minute one, you might have two 12-minute ones. So in turn, you're only going to be waiting for 12 minutes, if that makes sense. So once you've selected the orders you want to choose, you're going to have to choose a provider. You'll see that in the middle here. Now there's a bunch of different providers, and they all essentially do different things. So in general, you're going to have three kind of factors for these guys. There's going to be the yield, there is the cost, and then there is the time to complete. So the bigger the yield, usually the bigger the cost, the longer it's going to take. And it is really entirely up to you. You can individually choose each company, and then there'll be a get quote button that will appear at the bottom there, and you can get a quote from each one and see what it is and compare it yourself. Personally, you want as much of the minerals as you can. You want all the materials you can possibly get. So I always go for whichever's the best possible yield, and then from there, whichever's the quickest. Certainly, if you've got some high quality stuff, you want to try and get as much of that yield as you possibly can. You might even want to do those on a separate order. And once you're happy and you've chosen your company to do it with, or your contractor, whatever you want to call it, you'll just have to confirm your order at the bottom there. Now just repeat that same process if you want to do the order separately, or if you want to take out a certain quality, and you just have to wait for your stuff to be done. Once you've done that, you'll see it'll have a progress there of how long it's taken, how many you've done at that point. You can take them out early if you want to, but obviously it'll stop the whole order there. And while you wait, you could also go and do some more mining. You can just take your ship back out and mine, because you're also already in there with your orders, so your ship should be empty. But either way, once it is done, and keep in mind you don't actually get any in-game notification, I'm aware of anyway, you'll have to go back to this same screen, this same terminal, and you'll see that it's been complete, and at the bottom it'll say select destination, and all you're going to choose is where you want those boxes of materials to go. Normally I will just leave it at the Arc 1 station, and I will just take all of my minerals over to Arc 1 station, so I've got all of them in one place. It's literally however you want to do that. And that is it. That is the loop as basic as I can think of it for you. Use this guide to get you started and get you set up, and then you'll start to learn what's good and what's not and what you need as you go along. As always, if you are more experienced, please do leave a comment with any tips and tricks you've learned. Don't forget to check out our other videos in the channel and come join us live. You'll see links in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the verse soon.